Welcome on in, and thanks for joining me for this video I want to put out where we go into a lot more detail about Mars and Scorpio. And I've talked about it the last couple videos that I put out, and a viewer kind of made me aware of how I needed to go deeper because I was in such a hurry the initial time that I mentioned it that I misspoke, and then I didn't give it the thoroughness that it deserves. So let's go deeper. And if you missed the last video I put out on the new moon in Scorpio, you want to check it out. I will put the video at the end of this one so you can click on through at the end when this is over with. There's a lot of Scorpio energy right now. It's not just, the new moon was potent, but then you add to it that we've got Mars in Scorpio for about a month and a half. It'll be in Scorpio, and this, by the way, is starting a new 2-year cycle. Very important. So we're going to talk about that in this video, and we are going to go over some important dates for the Mars aspects that we will be experiencing over the next month or so, and also talk about that next 2-year cycle of the Mars-Sun cycle, and briefly touch upon the individual impact that it's having on your natal chart and how you can learn more about that. And then finally, for those of you who stay to the end, we will have a spiritual homework assignment to make the most of this transit. So let's get on with it. Okay, so Mars and Scorpio, basically we've been in this since October 30th, and it will remain. Mars will remain in Scorpio until December 13th, so it's about a month and a half a transit. And mind you, this transit is occurring while the Sun is in Scorpio. We have the new moon in Scorpio, and then when I'm filming this on the 5th, but on the 6th, tomorrow, we will then have Mercury in Scorpio. So super potent, particularly if you look at all the aspects, you look at all the other planets involved, super intense stuff. And then you just add to it a realization that, Mars is very well equipped in Scorpio. It has heightened potency in this sign because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is the higher octave of Mars. So what does this mean? How does this translate into our reality? Well, it can cause pretty significant transformations, especially if we're talking about positions of power, people who hold power. By the way, this video is gonna get, we're gonna get into the personal, but we're gonna get into the interpersonal and the transpersonal, in other words, politics. So yeah, buckle up, because whatever's been going on behind the scenes, not just in our personal lives, but yes, political out there in the world, whatever's been brewing beneath the surface of things, well, that's gonna surface, it's gonna come out. And whatever has been bottled up, well, it might reach a boiling point and erupt. And what erupts could be regrets, shame, and that's why it was being held under wraps for so long, that people don't want you to see their dirty little secret. You know what I'm talking about? Or they don't want, maybe they don't feel any shame, but they don't want the judgment of other people that try to put shame upon them. Okay, but I'm not saying that during this transit, this is going to be necessarily something new that just suddenly comes out. No, I really think that what comes out is stuff that's actually been going on all this year. I don't know how long. Maybe, well, if we're talking politically, yeah, it's been going on way, way back. Okay. So this is stuff that people are finally maybe having a day of reckoning, where they're having to answer to things that maybe they thought they were going to have to answer to because they were getting away with it for so long. They got comfortable and they thought, well, nobody will ever find out. Oh, no. Not with this energy. And let me say, if you are trying to keep secrets, God help you. You're going to need it. Okay. The positive about this intense transformation is that we have raised awareness that comes out of it that can bring positive change. Okay. Unfortunately, what we might become more aware of is power, abuse of power, and the exploitation of people who are vulnerable And yeah, there might even be some observation. This might become blatantly obvious. And by observing it, you begin to see, holy shit, this is, right? We have all kinds of video footage. This is just an example. Video footage showing people who have been injured by the, right? And breaking out into convulsions and stuff like that. You see these things are spreading on social media. People are observing the damage, and then looking at the powers that be who created this, who rushed it through, who fast-tracked it, who gave it a stamp of approval, who told everybody it's safe and effective. Don't worry about it, just do what you're told. And by the way, if you don't, you can't travel, you can't work, you can't fill in the blank. Scared the crap out of people. This again is abuse of power. And as more and more people are observing the damage, the exploitation, the abuse of it, the abuse of power, it's raising people's awareness, okay? And yes, this can be a time where secrets unravel, exposés reveal how people's darker drives, their hidden motives for power have corrupted. There will be themes of power, secrets, hidden agendas, sex drives are being highlighted during this time. Yeah, it could be scandal, ethics violations, things like that. And you know, it's been kind of in and out of the media for a while with the Jeffrey Epstein and his lady sidekick, Ghislaine Maxwell, I think. I'm probably butchering her name. I don't know. I don't keep up with these people, clearly. Right. But pedophilia, pedophile rings, sex scandals, that kind of stuff could be coming out again during this time frame of October 30th through December 13th. Now, mind you, what we've been dealing with since September 14th up until October 30th was Mars in Libra, where Mars was frankly challenged in that position. And even during that time, if people got very forward, excuse me, if people got very forward and got into debates, you know, where they're really asserting, Mars is about assertion. In Libra, it's an air sign. Yeah, we were seeing people aggressively trying to communicate, right, with the protests. They were getting very vociferous. But again, even then, the way of expressing that anger was coming across in a pretty logical and tactful and tactical way, all right? There was verbal sparring that had been going on since September 14th with Mars and Libra. People, you know, basically in sparring, you're following some basic rules. You're you know, like, you saw people in Australia went out to protest quite vociferously, and the police started, you know, shooting rubber bullets on them, and the people, you know, they pushed back. They ran in the other direction. Basically, they didn't push back. They were pushed back by the rubber bullets. Okay, now with Mars in Scorpio, I really don't know if it will go down like that again. That might actually incite people to further aggression. Okay, I'm just saying, all right, because with Mars in Scorpio, reactions become a lot more fierce. And the determination to win is quite strong. So, yes, with the protests and whatnot, we could see things get uglier than what we have seen. I mean, if you think previous months were ugly, right, with the rubber bullets and them spraying down crowds, you know, with fire hydrant hoses, whatever, high pressure water, you know, all the different things that they did. You think that was bad? Oh, buckle up. Just buckle up, because when Mars is in Scorpio, realize that the anger is not logical like in Libra. It's emotionally driven in the water sign of Scorpio, and emotions are very heightened to the point of maybe at times overreactions. And again, this might even take definitely like on more of an interpersonal or personal level, people getting jealous, people getting more envious, issues of betrayal coming to the forefront. Whatever is inciting anger in people during this time, there are intensified feelings of desire, feelings of being threatened, a heightened awareness of one's own vulnerability, and at the same time, desire for change. And so this is another reason why we might see more exposés during this time, because people are trying to like get some radical shift, even if they have to like drag somebody's skeletons out of the closet, like, you know, grotesque analogy, but you see what I'm saying. Like, no matter how over the top they have to be to get people to understand the gravity, the sobriety of the situation, they will. On the same token, going to similar lengths to avoid it, to avoid change by hiding the truth. So we're seeing this quite unique push-pull of I want to expose the truth to I want to hide it. And yes, both parties pushing and pulling so hard, even if the results are drastic or damaging. So in terms of health, let me say during this time, be careful about high blood pressure, tapped out adrenals, adrenal fatigue, high cortisol levels induced by high stress, because all of these intensified emotions could bring about this mind, body, spirit reaction, you know. I would advise that if you're dealing with these kind of health issues brought on by high stress, try to manage the excess energy with exercise, martial arts, practicing sacred sexuality. By the way, I will soon be releasing a podcast style video where I'm going to be talking about sacred sexuality. So if you have not subscribed, if you haven't hit the bell to activate notifications, then you might want to do so that you're notified as soon as I release that. But yeah, be careful. I gotta say, on the same token, during this time, be careful with sex addictions or sexual obsessions, because that could be a darker aspect of energy that comes up during this time. A better way to kind of transmute that, if it starts moving in that direction of sex addictions, sexual obsessions, try to refocus that energy towards deepening sexual intimacy and bringing about a stronger connection when possible. I talked about that a little bit in the last video, by the way. I understand it's not easy for everybody. We're dealing with a lot of insecure people, and when you're dealing with insecure people, it's very hard for people to let down their guard, be vulnerable, and that's really what's required to have a deep sexual connection and to practice sacred sexuality. It's a rare find, okay? But if you can find it, please do, because it's very healing and very much needed at this time. Now, getting back into this, you know, Mars and Scorpio energy, I think it's going to be very important for us to discern what we need to integrate into our lives and what we need to separate from. Mars and Scorpio is an energy about doing this for emotional reasons, okay? Like cutting things out of your life. This is something you need to be thinking about. What do you need to cut out of your life right now? And really, if it's divinely guided that, yes, you need to cut something out, well, it will be made easier for you to do it during this transit. Yes, relationships might end, and yet at the same time, the energy is giving you a lot of emotional strength to end what needs to end, okay? But at the same time, it also gives you emotional strength to increase intimacy with another person, if that's what you need to do. Also, this energy brings about an acceleration of energy, which is helpful for taking action on something and moving things forward. So you might, during this time, find yourself taking swift, decisive action about, okay, I'm bringing this closer to me, I'm getting further away from that, you know. It is a kind of a duality here of what you are integrating versus separating from. And those decisions about what you draw closer to and what you separate from really have a lot to do with you protecting your vulnerabilities just be aware of defensiveness, you know, towards people who maybe you feel threatened by, or you feel that they're not giving you the security that you need. There can be defensiveness. Just be aware of that within yourself and others during this time. It's been said also that Mars is an energy of duality that embodies both grace and sin. And it's grace that integrates, right? And sin that separates. So it can be also that during this time, you're really being energetically assisted in terms of severing what needs to be severed in your life at this time and furthering what needs to be furthered quickly and directly, decisively, as I said before. Now, with both Mars and the Sun in Scorpio, this is bringing heightened awareness of, you know, what is hidden below the surface in relationships. Yes, like I said before, we could see exposés, we could see investigations of crimes. I just saw today that somebody is doing an investigation on Clinton's accusations of, you know, the Russia hoax, okay? And so you think that stuff is long dead and buried. Well, somebody's dragging it out. You know, it's like, you think that's long gone. Oh, you know, those people, I don't know what kind of graveyards they have in their backyard, but it's getting exhumed, all right? And then maybe they thought that was over with and humanity had moved on and forgot about that. Oh, no. So yeah, there could be investigation of crimes and corruptions getting a lot more active during this time, especially on things that you thought were long dead and that they were never going to, you know what I'm saying? And like, just another side note, I recently heard, and I haven't looked too deep into it, but the story of that girl who, see, I really don't follow that type of stuff. The girl whose boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito, I think, see, now it's coming back to me. I heard, you know, don't quote me on it, you'll have to look it up, all right? It could just be rumor, but in finding her body, they also found like 8 other bodies. People that were on missing persons lists forever, cold cases. Apparently, where she was buried, killed and buried, is a hot spot for other people being killed and buried. So again, it's like you see these things going on, and it takes a literal expression, but it also, I think, takes a symbolic expression, right? We can see these things going on. Maybe people's dark little dirty secrets that they thought nobody was going to find out. I don't mean to scare y'all, but yeah, things could come out that you thought were long dead and over with, okay? Or you hope they were. All right, so yeah, I mean, if I'm going to say this, if you are searching for the truth and you want to know the truth, chances are pretty damn good you're going to find it this month. Pretty damn good, well into mid-December, okay? If you don't want to know the truth, keep your head stuck in the sand, okay? Because the moment you lift your head out of the sand, it's right there in your face waiting for you, okay? I'm not kidding. I have found out secrets in the last 30 days, and I was not even trying. It just jumped out at me, and I'm like, what is this? You want to talk about this? What is this about? Oh, you don't want to talk about this. You know what? I don't think I want to talk about this either. Oh, yeah. But I had a sneaking suspicion all along. Boom, it comes out. Comes out with Mars and Scorpio. Okay. So, yes, with direct and impatient Mars, we are also likely to see people expressing very strong disdain for people in authority, especially with Pluto and Capricorn. And so, yes, do not be surprised if we see even stronger feelings of anger towards corruption in government or people in powerful positions, right? Like these unelected officials who are running these government bureaucracies, right? Like the whole thing that's going on right now with the vaccine mandates and how OSHA is being used to implement something that technically should have been passed in a law, you know, like there should have been legislation, but they didn't take that to vote because it would have never passed, right? So what they did is they used this government agency, and then people who they selected, they were not elected by the people, but they were selected by other people within government, to, you know, enforce these mandates. All of these are unelected bureaucrats, okay? And so people are starting to, and yeah, whether we're talking about elected people or not, these are people who are acting in an official capacity to do things that frankly they don't have the authority to do, and they're being very clever and manipulative to circumvent the standard process for implementing things such as that. They've gone around, they've acted in covert, underhanded type of ways, or circumvented laws to get the population to do things that frankly they don't have the authority or right to do. It's an abuse of power. So we could see people getting very loud about these actions, and yes, possibly even violent, because again, we are not talking about Mars and Libra. We are talking about Mars and Scorpio. Violence, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you even more so, because you get at this point, so many people have suffered injury, even death of family members, loved ones. And even if it's not that, like I recently saw a post yesterday about a woman whose parents, who've been married 50 years, were having medical issues, but the entire family was not vaccinated. So the medical staff did not let them visit each other at all. And it's just a heartbreaking story. And so when you see when you get individuals who, they didn't just sit at home and watch this on the news. This actually hit very close to home. It actually cost them emotionally. It cost them physically. It cost them relationally. It cost them monetarily. You could most definitely see people getting pretty vicious and wanting to fight tooth and nail for getting their freedom back. There, with this energy, definitely is a lot of suspicion behind the intentions of these people in authority. And looking at not only abuse of power, but the hierarchy of power, and people starting to track money and look at who's connected here, right? Like I recently, several months ago, and again, please don't quote me on this because my memory is a bit fuzzy, but I remember that when the vaccine was considered safe and effective, well, it came out and it was revealed that it was the NIH who had determined this, and the NIH is headed by Fauci's wife. And people are starting to connect the dots. People are starting to find out, oh, wait a second, this person also has worked over here, or this person over here is married to so-and-so who works over here and passed this through and did that over there. And right, you start following the money and you're like, holy crap, you're seeing a web of lies, of conspiracy, super shady stuff, super shady. All right, so let's talk about some important dates for this Mars and Scorpio transit and the aspects that it'll be making during this time. Mars is going to be making aspects to, current planetary positions in the zodiac. And something you have to keep in mind as well is that it's also making aspects to your individual natal chart. And so the impact will be different for each person on an individual level, right? I'm going to talk about the collective impact, but understand that some people might feel this more intensely than others because of your natal chart. If you want to know, by the way, how this is going to impact your natal chart, just a reminder, I do readings, okay? I had somebody recently ask me, are you still doing private readings? Absolutely, okay? And I am offering for a limited time, private readings, okay? If you want to, at an affordable rate, 15 minutes, if you just want a quick check-in to see how Mars is impacting your unique natal chart, I can do a quick reading, 15 minutes for $30. This is a limited time offer, because it's for a limited time transit, all right? So if you are interested in that, it is at crownedones.weebly.com. Just reach out to me on the contact page. And I will put the link for that down below. I will put it in the comments section and pin it at the top if you are interested. And it is first come, first serve. And because I price them so low, I'm not sure, when it's no longer available, it's no longer available. I'll let you know, but just email me if you're interested. Okay, so getting back to, how this is collectively affecting us. I will say generally that if you have natal Aquarius and Leo placements, this is going to conflict with those, okay? And Taurus placements as well. These are the fixed signs, right? Aquarius, Leo, Taurus are the fixed signs. Those will probably be hit the hardest, right? And so some of you are saying, well, I don't have, I'm not an Aquarius sun or a Leo sun or a Taurus sun. Well, great, but where in your chart, do you have that? And that can highlight where you're getting more of a hit, okay? If you're Pisces or Cancer, you're gonna get some kind of effortless support from these transits, or I should say the transit of Mars in Scorpio. And there will be some kind of assistance, like the energy will in some way assist you if you have any Virgo or Capricorn placements. So a very important phase to really keep in mind is November 10th through the 17th, when Mars squares Saturn in Aquarius and goes into quincunx with Chiron retrograde. And, Chiron retrograde in Aries, by the way, Aries is Mars ruled. So cha-ching, explosions, right? Fireworks going off here. Also, there's going to be an opposition with Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So all of this energy for about 7 days, November 10th through the 17th, is going to push us to really look at how can we take responsibility and be in more authority in our lives. Right, this has been a time over the last year and a half where, I knew there were a lot of sheeple out there. I knew that a lot of people are followers, but I didn't realize how bad it was. It's scary bad. People watching the news, asking the authorities if it's okay to come outside. And do I need to put a mask on my face? Like, hello, this is America. I don't know if you're in another country, but definitely it is America. I'm like, what the heck's wrong? Like, what has happened to people? You're asking the authorities if it's okay to come outside. Like, what country is this anymore? And so really all of this energy is pushing us to say, at what point do you stop asking other people permission to do what in your mind and in your spirit and your heart is the right thing for you and yours? At what point do you show up for yourself and others, as scary as that seems? Yes, because this is going to be you showing up in a new way, in a way that is maybe raw, right? And maybe a way that you would have tried to avoid the conflict of prior, like, oh, we'll just put a mask on. I don't want to offend them. Oh my God, I took a mask off. They started looking at me crazy. Oh, this person came and confronted me and told me I have to wear it. Look, show up, stand in your own authority. If you know that mask is not right for you, if you know that you have the God-given right to get out there and breathe fresh air and stand in the direct sunlight that God gave you, then by God, go do it. It's some kind of new, raw way of you standing in your authority and showing up for yourself. And in some way, yeah, even though this is scary for a lot of people, it's healing. And in this healing, what we do is we bring more intimacy, we bring more depth to our relationships. We open up conversations about, yeah, I'm not going to wear that mask. No, you're not going to tell me. And we bring a dialogue and more of an open dialogue to the conversation than what we had back in the days of compliance and walking on eggshells. And maybe, yes, we create more of an intimate bond with people because they realize they're not alone in what they also know is right for them. And they see that they're supported in doing what's right for them. There's camaraderie, there's connection, there's support. And so, getting more specific, November 10th, Mercury is conjunct Mars in Scorpio. So, really good for investigative work. I'm telling you, if you're hiding shit, good luck to you. All right, lots of spying and prying eyes going on. People know stuff's off, right? And I'm telling you, it might have been stuff that's been brewing. I knew this summer some stuff was off. I told somebody to their face. I said, I know you're hiding something. I can't put my finger on it, right? I would even pull cards, you know? I pull cards. And I saw stuff, but I didn't want to accuse. And I knew that they weren't ready to deal with it. But then it just, you know, it came out. It came out in late October. So actually about a week before Mars went into Scorpio. Some of you are already, like I'm telling you, November 10th, you're already, right, because the energies emanate. And so you're already experiencing this. But if you haven't yet, I'm telling you, here we go, a hit on November 10th, where inquiring minds want to know. And there's going to be suspicions. There's going to be probing questions. And on that same exact day, Mars squaring Saturn in Uranus, no, Mars squaring Saturn in Aquarius, is indicating that there's some kind of power struggle going on. Now, very likely this is going to have to do with people in politics or in these corporations, people that have that kind of authority. And the struggle is likely going to be over restrictions that have been placed on society. And yes, with this with Saturn and Aquarius, might be talking about these tech giants. By the way, that whole congressional whistleblower BS from Facebook, that's nonsense. Okay, that's some fake crap. Okay, that was a fake whistleblower. Let me tell you what happens to real whistleblowers. They get ran out of this country. They get warrants put on them for arrest. They get, okay, we've seen that with Julian Assange. We saw that with Edward Snowden. We saw that with, oh God help me, I can't believe I forgot his name. He was, why am I forgetting his name? John McAfee. John McAfee. Dead. All by himself in a jail. Yeah, right. Okay. That's what happens to real whistleblowers. Fake ones get frontline and, you know, fast track to Congress and put all over the corporate media. And the whole narrative is, let's get more regulations. Let's regulate the public even more. A lot of illusion going on, a lot of fakery anyway. I think that at least the circles that I travel in on Twitter, you know, people are aware of this. Okay, if you don't travel in liberty-minded circles, you know, then you're probably not aware of it. You maybe thought that whistleblower was legit. No, that's all political theater. By the way, if you want to follow me on Twitter, well, I don't have a pen right now, but okay, well, I'll put it down below. If you want to follow me for political content, I'm over at Warrior Woman 212. Okay. So anyway, moving on, because I'm telling you, that's gonna, I think, I don't know, I'm getting intuitively that this November 10th time, there's something larger than life going on around this time. All right. And I'm just getting that out of the ethers. I don't really know entirely where that's coming from. We're already building up into it. But I think there's going to be some kind of, you know. Then November 17th, we are going to have Mars opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So this is really adding to the intensity of battles around finances and financial security, as well as food and supplies. And I mean, I could totally see this occurring within the context of all these mandates. And you know, it's creating shortages of workers. There's a worker rebellion going on right now. In fact, oh my gosh, I just heard, okay, let me put a link for this down below. This is my favorite new song by Loza Alexander. He put out a new song called Fire Me, basically. Questions like Nikki, fire me. Basically saying, the song is, it's a rap song. Basically, he's saying, you know, you can just fire me because I'm not taking it. I'm not taking a job for a job. You just fire me. This stuff is, And that guy, by the way, he just hit #1. He passed up Adele. He passed up Adele. She was #1. And this guy went to #1. You know why? Because people are so resonating with his message. He went to #1 on the Let's Go Brandon song. All right. But this is real. This is organic. And you see, like, back to November 17th, people intensifying, like they're putting out music. They're doing, you know, they're protesting. There's a worker rebellion going on. They're saying, I'm not going to take a job for a job. I just watched the sheriff's department in LA put out a press conference yesterday saying they're losing about, I think, 25%. Again, rough estimate, because don't go off, my memory's like fuzzy, all right? Just saying it off the top of my head. Look it up yourself. Roughly like 25% of their staff is, you know, leaving. They're retiring, or they're going to another department that doesn't require mandates or something to that effect, or they're changing fields of work entirely. And so you're not only looking at, okay, there's individuals who are losing employment, right? We're seeing this with the nurses as well. I've seen a lot of nurses walk off of jobs, okay? We're seeing this with the police. We're seeing this with the firefighters. We're seeing this with supply chain and truck drivers and the people out doing the shipments out in the ocean. You know, all of this is like creating a domino effect for the rest of us who maybe you don't work in those industries, okay, or those fields of employment, but you are affected by them, right? What is going to happen if you can't, you know, your police staff is short, your fire department is short, and you have a fire, or more relatably, you can't find the food that you need down at the grocery store. I told y'all last year on this channel to stockpile, okay? And some of you, I'm sorry to say that, you know, if you called some people tinfoil hat wearers, conspiracy theorists in years past for stockpiling food, well, you might need to apologize and might be asking them for some food. Just saying, okay, might want to call those people back up and make amends because I don't really see it going in the right direction, okay? And that's going to intensify, all right? Like I'm telling you, that's November 17th. But as we move further and further into this energy, that particular triggering of money and resources, particularly in America, is going to intensify. You better buckle up. I'm sorry, I don't mean to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you, okay? Moving on to November 29th, Mars trine Neptune retrograde in Pisces. There will be some tension over illusions, perhaps perpetuated by the media in the recent past. Yes, media. I like to call them prostitutes, you know, and it's kind of like a Go Brandon theme song, you know, and those of you who don't know the story behind Go Brandon, well, I think that was a CBS News anchor who was at a sports event interviewing a guy who won a car racing event named Brandon. And the whole, you know, stadium is clearly chanting F Joe Biden, but she's with a fake news media outlet and decides that she's going to, now she denies it and says she didn't know, she thought, but go listen to it. Everybody can clearly hear they're saying F Joe Biden. Well, she tries to tell the CBS audience that they're chanting, let's go Brandon. And now, you know, this is caught on. This is not just in stadiums all over America. This is worldwide. I mean, I'm seeing people uploading videos from European countries where they're chanting, let's go Brandon, in European countries because they think this is so damn funny. But it is a case in point of how, look, here we go. Look at these prostitutes. They'll say whatever they're paid to say. Whatever they're paid to say. Right, I just recently came across, gosh, it was Russell Brand recently put out a really good video where he showed some snippets of how they're openly telling you, all these major media outlets are openly telling you that their funders, their advertising revenue is coming from, they're sponsored by Pfizer. Hello, this is a conflict of interest. I'm sorry, but ethically, and I told you, ethics is going to come up this month. ethically, if you are getting sponsored by a pharmaceutical company, you are not really at a place to report on their products. You're compromised. You have a conflict of interest, okay? Ethically, you have a conflict of interest because these people pay you. And so then how can you possibly be unbiased in reporting the safety and efficacy of their product? You can't. And these are blatant ethics violations that have been going on in our face, right under our noses. I do believe that this around the end of the month, November 29th, things like this are going to become more and more obvious. Then getting into December 6th, we have Mars sextile Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a period of great intensity with power struggles. Again, over finances, corporate powers, political issues. And then December 7th, Mars square Jupiter in Aquarius. A lot of pushback and inhibition from the authorities against society, people expressing aggression, and people feeling that they're having difficulty getting the growth and the expansion through taking action. Like, I'm going to tell you straight up, because of what happened with COVID and all the lockdown and restriction, as a content creator, it really changed the playing field for me, because everybody and their mama just got on this platform, and all of a sudden I had competition like never before. And then the algorithms changed in such a way where it's like impossible. And I see major channels on here who have been on here longer, or who have larger followings than I have. But they're not getting monetized at the level you would think. I mean, and even the political channels, like I was recently, last night, listening on Twitter to a interview with a lady who runs Libs of TikTok, which has really exploded. So you see some channels have really exploded, but they were asking her, like, well, how are you doing with monetization? She's like, oh, well, we're still trying to figure that out. So you think this channel has a lot of followers, or it's really exploding, but and you think that equates to they're making good money. But no, not with these tech giants. They're not. And in all transparency, my money comes from my private readings. The bulk of my money comes from my private readings. And people look and say, well, you've got all this other stuff. You've got books, which I do. I've got books on 4 different platforms. But again, it's so saturated, and the algorithms and the monetization is like, it's so meager what they're giving to people. Don't be fooled, folks. Those of us who are creatives and who are putting our life energy out there, we're doing it largely for free. Even the major accounts, people you think are making big money, are getting shafted, okay? Very much, very inequitable. And then you add to that the censorship, okay? And I told you, this is with Mars square Jupiter in Aquarius on December 7th, there is some inhibition being pushed against humanity in expressing their aggression, or in trying to assert themselves towards getting more expansion and growth through the actions that they're taking. And so these kind of difficulties could really get amplified during this time. And what you're seeing amplified is the anger, the frustration, right? People say, my God, I'm working my fingers to the bone, right? Like this is where on this platform, I spent several years working 60 hours a week on this platform to make less than a penny per view. And people didn't know that. They didn't understand that. And then when it got worse during COVID, I said, well, okay, I'm just going to do face-to-face. And I started getting better results with that. But when people start becoming more aware of the exploitation of the creatives, okay, or how, let's just say, for example, you're not a creative, but maybe you don't have popular views. Your views are not politically correct. They don't go along with the official narrative. And you've been wondering, how come I never get job offers, or I get passed over for promotions? I do believe there's been a low-key secret social credit system going on in the background I think stuff like that's going to come out, okay? And then you're going to start connecting the dots. Oh, I see. This is why I didn't get opportunities. This is why I had so much struggle, because they were suppressing people, right? We've kind of known off and on that this stuff goes on, right? During the Obama administration, it came out that the IRS was targeting conservative groups and auditing them and doing all kinds of chicanery, right? This kind of stuff happens, all right? And it has been going on for a long time. But, right, that example I gave you was how many years ago, and what has occurred since then? Well, I think we're going to be finding out. I do feel also the anger and frustration is going to come because of shortages of, firefighters, police. There's definitely going to be backlash and blowback from this mandate. And I don't think people are really totally comprehending the level of backlash and blowback. It's poor policy, right? See, if they had taken it to vote, they would have known that this was not going to work out well. Don't do this. But see, they didn't take it to vote because they knew it wouldn't pass. They were trying to ram it through and make it happen. But you know what? People are going to backlash and blow back anyway. Buckle up and get ready for it because it's about to get very wild. Finally, December 13th, Mars in Sagittarius. Well, yeah, so it leaves Scorpio and it moves into Sagittarius. Well, this is not as heavy-handed as Scorpio, in my opinion, but it is still very fiery and ambitious nonetheless. Very adventurous. It's almost, to me, again, this is my take on it, this kind of vibe of, oh, you want to roll? Oh, you want a piece of this? Oh, come on, let's have it. Let's have some, oh yeah, let's do this. This is kind of the way I take Mars in Sagittarius, where it's not quite the death glare of Mars in Scorpio, but it's still on fire nevertheless. And let me say, yeah, I'm leaving these transits off at December 13th when Mars gets out of Scorpio. But realize that all of this energy is building and continues to build well into February of 2022 when Pluto... we have the Pluto return of the United States of America. Okay, so basically, this is huge. I've heard some people say, "Oh, well, we're coming into the Civil War energy." I would not call it Civil War energy. Again, this is kind of leftist rhetoric. All right, bringing up a civil war is like bringing up black versus white slavery issues. All right, no. This is 1776 Revolutionary War energy, totally different, where you're dealing with the population, the commoners, uprising against ruling class elite. And so when the natal chart of the United States encounters its Pluto return, it's like this bomb going off in the second house, by the way. Values. What do I value? And I'm telling you, you look back in 1776, you know what people valued? They valued their freedom and they valued their independence. They valued their money. This whole thing in 1776 was started over a tea tax that, frankly, if you would, like, it was, I think it was 3% tea tax is what they were battling over, that the monarchy wanted. The monarchy wanted the commoners to pay a tea tax to finance the repayment of a debt from a war that the monarchy decided to start, that the commoners had no part in deciding, okay? So again, look at what's going on now. We have this major bill that people are trying to ram through from the ruling class elite to get all the commoners to pay for increased taxation, increased inflation being hidden taxes, right? So they want us to pay for all this stuff for what? To finance their don't even get me started. All kinds of nonsense that we didn't sign up for, we didn't agree to, but they want us to pay for this. Oh, no, no. And so, I feel led to say this side note. If money is a hot button issue for you right now and you've been out of the loop, you need to go look at my video. I'll probably put it at the end of this video so you can click on through. If you watch to the end, you'll see it, okay? about the financial channels that I follow here on YouTube, and that might be some kind of help for you. Okay, so let's talk about this 2-year Mars Sun cycle. And I mentioned that before in another video, and I got a little bit, the way it came out, the delivery was pretty bad. But basically, the last time Mars was in Scorpio was November 19th of 2019. And as I said before, it is now back in starting October 30th. And the next time we will have Mars in Scorpio is, with the Sun cycle, is October 12th of 2023. So yeah, Mars typically will move through signs like every month and a half or so, sometimes longer depending on retrogrades. Generally, it's every year and a half before you will see, this Mars-Sun cycle where both Mars and the Sun are in that sign. Okay, so the onset of this cycle, what it does is it regulates the amount of energy available over this time frame. And Mars in Scorpio is revealing what the main intention of the 25-month cycle is, right? The two-year cycle. So during this time, over the next 25 months, this cycle can help us to overcome darker motivations within ourselves, like addictions, anger, resentment. It's going to also help us to confront our shadow side, shadow aspects within ourselves and with others. I don't know if you know, but yeah, maybe you haven't had any secrets come out, but you're watching other people, and when you see them get exposed or you see the government get exposed, there's some kind of reflection coming back to you of, right, like if it was in an interpersonal relationship and somebody hid something from you, you start looking at yourself like, wow, I thought we had some trust here, like, but you didn't come to me, you hid this from me, like, who are you? What kind of relationship do we have? Like, why didn't, and so it makes you kind of think within yourself, and then if we're talking about like the government, if you got duped by the media or by some politician you trusted, and then it just comes out like, holy crap, these people were power tripping all along and playing games, and then you have to look at yourself and say, my God, how did they get this over on me? How did they get this? Like, how did I get tricked? How did I go along with this? So all of these energies are helping us to confront the shadow energies within ourselves and others, and also to deal with the temptation that we all have to further suppress the truth. We all have something deeply private that we don't want other people to know about. Like, I respect privacy, I really do. Like, if I didn't respect privacy, I wouldn't be, wanting, Zuckerberg to stop data mining and data tracking all the people, right? Like, that's upsetting to me that people with these big tech giants don't have the privacy anymore, okay? And that they're selling our data, they're selling our information. That type of stuff really bothers me, but so I value privacy, but at what point, do we hold things private to a level that is really not constructive? Because it's stopping us from living authentically and having authentic relationships with other people and demonstrating more vulnerability that actually opens ourselves and others up to having a real relationship where there's a bond, there's intimacy, it's beyond the surface of things. There's actually depth, of connection there. So looking at, yes, during this time, the temptations that we have within ourselves to also suppress our shadow side and reject, hide, suppress, deny shadow aspects of ourselves, to keep things secret that really just need to be brought out and disinfected in the daylight. You know what I'm saying? With a daylight sun, you can disinfect, shine a light on the darkness. This is also going to bring about a time of defending against emotional values and severing ties for emotional reasons, right? Like, if you realize, I talked about in the last video having to do with Mars, the moon in Scorpio, talking about really having a hunger for a deeper bond with people, wanting to have that connection, wanting to have that intimacy, but realizing that, who you can and can't have that with. There's some people you're not going to be able to have that level of vulnerability because there's too much insecurity within them or within you that you, they, or both of you are not willing to heal. And so this can be a time of you saying, you know what, if I can't get the security with you on an emotional level, if I can't get the connection with you on an emotional level, I'm going to have to sever my ties and move on and make space to connect with people who I can get those emotional values met with. This transit's also going to help with embracing and transforming the shadow aspects of yourself. But again, free will is involved here, so it's really up to you. Are you ready to transcend this stuff? Are you really, and it's going to be different for different people. You know, like I said in the last video, particularly for those going through, I think with a Aries rising, it was hitting their 8th house. You know, it's like you've got to decide, are you going to dominate or be dominated by your inner demons? It's your choice. But I think the energy is really pushing us to dominate those inner demons for a change. Now I'm going to suggest to you, you know, if you're looking at your individual chart and trying to really hone in on how this is impacting you at an individual level, look at your Black Moon Lilith placements, because that's where you're, right, that's kind of showing your inner demons, your dark side, your shadow side, okay? So look at the Black Moon Lilith placement, especially if it's in the 8th house, or if you any 8th house, look at what's going on in your 8th house. Look at anything in Aries, Scorpio, or anything aspecting Mars, Pluto, Aries, Scorpio, any of those combinations. That's going to give you a lot more insight if you're looking at your own natal chart. And also look at where Mars is transiting in relation to where Mars was at your time of birth, right? Because the closer that Mars is transiting to your Mars placement at birth, well, that is going to have more energy and activity. If it's farther away, right, less energy and activity. As I said before, if you want to know, if you want somebody to kind of look into this for you, you can reach out to me, right? I'm going to put this down below in the comment section. I'll pin it to the top. If you want this limited time offer that I have, 15 minutes for $30 for me to look at your chart and maybe pull some cards if time allows. But basically, you know, if you don't get somebody to help you with that, maybe you look at it on your own. Look at your relationship with your natal Mars and your transiting Mars. In addition to where Mars is right now, that's another layer of how it's impacting you on a personal level, not just with a transit. So, because that relationship of your natal Mars to transiting Mars is going to show you the ways that you're manifesting a path forward. And when you're looking at where Mars is transiting in the natal chart, look at, like I said before, what natal placements do you have in Scorpio? What house contains Scorpio in your natal chart? Because this is going to indicate the areas in your life being impacted by this transit. And Mars is more difficult, by the way, for those born during the day. So that's another thing you can pay attention to. If you were born, you know, at night, maybe not so difficult. But Aries and Scorpio risings experience probably the most potent effects. Also be aware of Aries placements in addition to Scorpio, Pluto, Mars. I'm kind of repeating myself, I apologize, but I'm trying to help those who need this help to do it on their own. And the reason why I'm saying look at you know, the Aries is because Mars also rules Aries. Even though Aries is more, by the way, about external motivations and ego projection, whereas Mars in Scorpio is more about internal motivations, hidden emotional undercurrents that motivate actions maybe on a more subconscious level. So again, yes, look at any Aries placements, but realize that those Aries placements are probably going to translate in stuff going on more on an external basis than internal. Mars and Scorpio or Scorpio placements, more internal, emotional, subconscious maybe even. Okay, so finally, we're going to close off with a spiritual homework assignment to make the most out of these energies. I want to encourage you to try to transform whatever has been disempowered in your life to empowered. Right, this could take some thinking. This could take some, right, you're going to have to pray and meditate about this. Because for some of you, This has been going on for a very, very long time. This is a major stronghold in your life. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah. And try to do shadow work, really good for shadow work, to release the shadow aspects of yourself. These are the tendencies that you have to self-sabotage or to be self-destructive. By the way, this is a good time. If you want someone to help you with that, I do a healing reading. It's 2 hours long. It's very comprehensive. It's on the pricier side, right? I've given y'all a cheaper option, but you know, with the 15 minutes for $30, right? I mentioned that before, but this particular healing reading that's 2 hours long is about $200, okay? And honestly, it's the reading I wish most people would start with, but it's usually the last one they get. It's the most important, but people will get every other reading before that one. It is deep. You need to know what your inner demons are, because until you figure this out, you know, you're gonna have trouble dominating those inner demons and dealing with the karma and the restrictions and getting free from it and transforming and transmuting these type of things. You're not going to understand what is the lesson here, what is the higher purpose of this, you know, how do I keep getting in my own way, why can't I live to my fullest potential, you know, these type of things get answered in a healing reading. And again, I have resources here on my channel about how to do that yourself if you don't have the money. I know a lot of people are struggling, but for those of you who have maybe the money and not the time or interest to do it, I am available for the healing reading. So regardless of how you go about it, this is a good month to work on these shadow aspects in your personality. We all have it. We all have it. Do the deep soul work to, you know, live with integrity and wholeness. If there's something in your life that's not in integrity, if you're like got afraid at any point in this video of like, oh my God, I hope they don't find out this about me. You know, I hope this doesn't come out. Like, you need to deal with that, okay? You need to deal with that. You need to get real with yourself and with your relationships. And if you feel you can't, you need to figure out why, because you're out of alignment. You're not honoring yourself. You're betraying yourself and you're betraying others. So this is a time for you to do the deep soul work to figure out how do you live in more integrity, more wholeness of honoring yourself and your authenticity. No more disowning, denying, suppressing, hiding who you authentically are. No more. But owning and strengthening your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities. This is the time to do it. All right, and that's all I've got for now. Remember, if you want me to look at your Mars transits in your natal chart, 15 minutes, $30. And if you're ready for a deep dive into a healing reading, yeah, 2 hours, $200. But well worth it. Absolutely. All right, y'all, thanks for listening, and till next time, y'all be blessed.